welcome back to the channel, guys. I wanted to make a little bit of a different format this time because I really got inspired by watching the US Open this year. I think it was a great tournament, and I feel like I could bring some good insights just to understand better what happens in the professional level and how we can use some of those lessons to our own tennis game. I'm literally recording this video right after the semifinals, the men's semifinals. Really entertaining finals. So before I give you my predictions for the men's final on Sunday, let me tell you a little bit about what I think of what happened today. First match was Novak Djokovic against Ben Shelton. A big, surprise to see Ben Shelton at this stage of the tournament, but definitely deserved it. However, I think that was just a one-way traffic. Novak played really well. Ben didn't play as well, but when we really look at their games, what does really Ben Shelton has besides a big serve? I think that, the serve was really key for him. But when you only have one shot, only one thing that you can really rely on to make a difference, it just becomes a very, very big challenge for you to, overuse that shot to really make the difference. So I don't think that Shelton was quite ready. I don't think that the other part of his game were enough to beat Novak. And then combined with the pressure and maybe the expectations was just a little bit too much today. So easy win for Novak and a well-deserved spot to the final. Now for the next one, Carlos Alcaraz versus Daniil Medvedev. Now that was a big surprise. Daniil Medvedev pulled out a win in 4 sets. Daniil won. He was the overwhelming underdog, definitely. And now he just played his game, and like he said, he really had to play his game, but at the absolute best of his ability, and that's what he did. One thing that I wanted to share is that he didn't play very well against Carlos in the past 2 matches that they played. I think they played this year at Indian Wells, and Carlos really won very easily. A very dominant performance by Carlos. And then there was a rematch at Wimbledon about a month ago, and it was another very dominant win by Carlos. Now, granted, Wimbledon and the grass is not Medvedev's favorite surface. But it was also the first deep run of Carlos at Wimbledon on grass. So the surface was kind of even for the both of them. Unusual stage for the both of them, and Carlos really displayed a very dominant win over Medvedev. So I don't think that Medvedev was very confident coming into today's match. But now here is the challenge. Professional players, they don't really come into a tournament and change their games based on they don't prepare for a specific matchup. They prepare for a tournament. In other words, they want to be ready physically, to be able to perform throughout the entire tournament, and they also want to be ready for the conditions, the surface, the elevation, the balls, the overall conditions, just so that maybe the strings, just to feel more comfortable, because every tournament is different, and they all feel very, very different, and they need to adapt to that, but they don't really have time to adapt to a particular player. For Daniil Medvedev to try to adapt his game to Carlos Alcaraz wouldn't really make that much sense, just because they would only play against each other at the very end of the tournament. If that happens, I mean, one of them could lose in the early rounds, and so they would never end up playing. So they still need to play at least 5 matches and win 5 matches, both of them, to to meet. So, for Daniil to prepare for Carlos wouldn't really make that much sense. And so that's why I see, for example, that, he stands so far back on the return, but that's what got him there. Medvedev is world number 3 in the world, playing that style of tennis. This is what he feels comfortable doing. This is what got him to that position. He was also world number 1. That's how he became world number 1. He won the US Open the exact same way. And so you gotta trust your own game. And if you play that way and Carlos wins, then you just give credits to Carlos. But coming into this match, you're full of confidence with the way you perform. This is your game, and it's just too hard to ask a player to start changing your entire game overnight just because you're facing a different player. So now it's a little bit harder to say for Carlos, of course, because Carlos has a more complete game. It seems like he's able to do a lot of different things, and that's why there is only one Carlos, and that's why he's or was actually world number 1, and that's why he achieved the success that he achieved at such a young age. But Daniil is more of a one-dimensional player, and there is pros and cons with that. What I like to say in tennis is that execution is more important than the plan. If you can't execute but have a really good plan, that's not gonna work out. But if you can, if you can execute but don't have a really good plan, that could work. Just because at the end of the day, if you can execute and hit even a bad ball, your opponent still needs to hit that ball. So you give the chance to your opponent to mess up, to go for the wrong shot, to not execute properly. But if you have a really good plan and poor execution, well, you could just hit a lot of enforced errors, hit really bad shots, just giving away the match to your opponents. And that's never going to allow you to win those matches, especially when the margins are so small. So I don't see any problems with Daniil playing his own game. He got killed the last 2 times that he played Carlos, but what can you really do at this stage, right? He's confident. He is in the semifinal. He won the US Open. He just has to go there, and he knows himself that if he performs at his very best, he has a chance. And he understands that if he doesn't perform at his very best, playing his own game, he's probably not gonna win. So all the credits to Daniil for the performance, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of Carlos in the very near future. And so now let's talk about the final, the US Open final. Novak Djokovic against Daniil Medvedev. I'm just gonna have to go with Novak, just because it's hard to go against him really at this stage of their careers. He's just very solid. You can count on him to not give away anything. He is gonna be performing. He is physically very fit. Now, I know people like to talk about age, but that really doesn't matter. The age is supposed to affect you physically, and when you watch Novak, you can tell he's moving well, he's performing well, he's mentally fit. So there is no need to overemphasize the fact that he's 36 or 37. He is ready to play, and that's really all that matters. Now, I do really like the matchup, just because Medvedev is a baseliner, Novak also is, and like the reason why Ben Shelton cannot win against a Novak at this point as of today is because he can't really sustain the rallies. He doesn't really have that many tools in his game to beat Novak other than his serve. But Daniil can definitely sustain the baseline game, and if he happens to serve well, which he's more than capable of doing, then that really can get him out of some difficult situations. So I really like the matchup. I think it's gonna be a really, really entertaining match. Um, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm looking at it here, they're head to head. They played a total of already 14 matches. Novak leads 9-5. But the last time they played was this year in Dubai on a similar outdoor court, and Daniil actually won 6-4, 6-4. Also, Daniil won his maiden Grand Slam at the US Open back in 2021 against Novak Djokovic. Now, it was a little bit different at the time. Novak was going for the career Grand Slam and was pretty obviously, they were physically very, very tired. But nonetheless, this is what happened. So, Daniil Medvedev definitely has a few big wins over Novak. And so I would say that he should feel more confident going into this final than he was going into the semifinal against Carlos today. Just because of his overall record against Novak and the game style that he probably prefers. He doesn't want the guy that can serve and volley all the time and execute and be just very unpredictable with a drop shot, and you're just coming into the net at doesn't really allow him to build as much rhythm. Novak is gonna be more at the baseline, trading backhand to backhands, forehand to forehand, exactly what Daniil likes. So a little bit of a better matchup. I'm still gonna take Novak though, just because I know he's not gonna be overwhelmed by playing the final. The situation is very familiar to him. Novak really doesn't have anything to prove. Daniil is back in the final since the Australian Open loss against Nadal. But he's had an incredible year as well, especially the beginning. He won many titles. I believe he won at Miami against Yannick Sinner, which was very big. So yeah, that is my prediction. Let me know, guys, if you like this kind of content, because I have a lot of things that I could share with you on different tactical and technical tips on what the professionals do, and especially how we can apply it to our own game. But today, after watching this game, I just really felt like I wanted to share with you my thoughts on these matches and the upcoming final. But yeah, it's I do want to say something. Last word. For Novak Djokovic, I do think that he's definitely the GOAT. The way he plays his game is just extremely complete. The way he has evolved his game, his serve is just very solid. He's able to get out of some very, very tough game on his serve, and then backhand and forehand, but most importantly footwork is just at another level where nobody really wants to grind out points at the baseline against Novak. And that's really what allows him to stay at the top. It's just because he has so many tools. He can really trust in all of his shots. He knows that if he plays well, he can win just about any matches. And if he doesn't, eventually on a best of five match, there will be opportunities for him at some point, and that's kind of what happened against Laszlo Djere when he played. I think in the third round, Laszlo played pretty amazing in the first two sets. He was very dominant, wasn't really making any mistakes. I think the commentators were saying that he didn't miss a backhand after maybe 13 or 14 of them. It was an incredible performance, but then his game started to break down in the third and the fourth, and with Novak's game, that's how we can really capitalize on these opportunities, and I think that's really what got him over the hump, and got him the win, and I think that's just what Novak does. That's how sometimes he can win easily, and sometimes he doesn't, but he still wins just because he trusts his shots. He's also arguably one of the best returners in the game, so it just puts so much pressure on you constantly. That's what Taylor Fritz said. If you don't make as many first serves, He puts the pressure on your second serve right away, and that's just really tough to play against. So it's really all I have to say. I'm looking forward to this final. Let me know in the comment below if you like this kind of videos. This is my first time making this kind of content, talking about this kind of subject. So I'm not really sure how it's gonna come out, but let me know if you like it. Let me know if you have any suggestion. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. It's just really the best way to support it. And yeah, let's enjoy this final, and we'll see you on the next video.